Welcome to another episode of the Jampack Report, today for February the 19th of 2021. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it's your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. So if you enjoy the show and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But for the past 24 hours, it's been a very exciting time for Silent Hill fans because there could be not only one, but two new games in the works for the franchise. Bloober Team, behind Layers of Fear and the recent Xbox console exclusive The Medium, has shared that they have been working on a horror IP with a, quote, very famous publisher for more than a year, leading many people to connect the dots and assume that this new title is an entry in the Silent Hill franchise. VGC reports that their sources say that the project has gone to a Japanese developer rather than the Poland-based horror studio, with a reveal slated for this summer. Other rumors have suggested that two reboots in the Silent Hill universe are in the works, meaning that Bloober Team could be working on one and a Japanese developer on the other. The Japanese-developed entry is said to be a departure, think something akin to Resident Evil 7 versus Resident Evil 4, and VGC reports that Konami wants to keep the games in-house, but the failure of Metal Gear Survive and Contra Rogue Core may have shifted their direction, and Castlevania games and Metal Gear Solid games may even be outsourced in the future, but nothing is confirmed as of yet. Very exciting stuff here because there's so much you can do with a Silent Hill, and after playing The Medium, I think it's clear that Bloober Team still has a lot of growing to do, but that they're moving in the right direction. They nail atmospheres. They nail that horror vibe that is so important in creating good games. I really enjoyed The Medium, but it does need to be more action-oriented. There has to be more than just a solid story that is told, unless that's exactly what they're going for. Less of a horror kind of action vibe and more of a horror story like you got from a Layers of Fear, or even something like you got with The Medium. When it comes to the Japanese developer, that's out of my hands. No idea who that could be. People have been throwing around From Software, which I think is hilarious, but also kind of cool. But that is absolutely not going to be the case. All things considered, something is happening at Silent Hill, and I am going to be there for it because I'm very excited to see them come back. And I think if you look to the resurgence of Resident Evil over the course of the past 3 or 4 years, which in reality is probably closer to 10 years with development time and planning, you really see a fantastic comeback, because I didn't think that Resident Evil was going to ever regain that same level of pedigree that it had way back in the day. And lo and behold, Resident Evil Village is one of the most anticipated games of the year. Their reboot and their redirection with Resident Evil 7 really brought something new to the franchise, and then they still cater to those old school fans with the remakes that we've all come to know and love over the past few years. So, very excited to see what Konami comes up with, and their development partners are certainly hard at work, so I can't wait for a big reveal coming later this summer during E3 Digital and the Summer Game Fest and all these other random names people are throwing out there into the world. But speaking of throwing random names out into the world, BlizzCon is kicking off today. A virtual conference starts at 2 p.m. Pacific time and runs with celebrations through the weekend. There have been plenty of leaks coming out ahead of time, first and foremost for World of Warcraft players, a Chains of Domination content patch is coming for Shadowlands, which includes a 10-boss raid, a mega dungeon, a Covenant story campaign, and a new region of the endgame zone, the Maw. Peggy ratings, as this story says, from VG247, have revealed that the Blizzard Arcade Collection is coming. It includes the first Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn, all of which released in the 90s. So for fans of Blizzard, this is your time. Again, the giant conference kicks off at 2 p.m. Pacific time today. That's 5 p.m. Eastern, if you do want to see what is coming from Blizzard. Normally, this is a convention center style event that's held in November at the Anaheim Convention Center, but of course with ongoing COVID restrictions and the dangers surrounding that, not to mention it's the middle of February and the majority of the continental United States is covered in ice and snow, they decided to go ahead and migrate online. So you've got BlizzConline 2021, as they say over here on VG247. I enjoy that nomenclature myself. But if you do want to check it out, by all means you can. And again, everything kicks off at 2 p.m. Pacific time. You can follow Blizzard on Twitter to stay up to date on the latest, and I'll give you a brief recap on Monday's episode of the show, just like I did with yesterday's Nintendo Direct, just to make sure that you are still in the loop. But Blizzard is not the only one with some exciting content on the way, because Bungie has announced a major expansion, not only of their headquarters, but also of their team. They are redesigning the Bellevue headquarters, expanding the footprint from 84,000 square feet to 208,000 square feet, and Bungie is continuing as two teams, one leading up future Destiny content and the other continuing to innovate and incubate new ideas. The current plans peg a non-Destiny release before 2025, so it certainly is ambitious and it's on its way soon. More than a quarter of the staff has never set foot in Bungie, as far as a headquarters goes, since a hiring spree continued throughout the entire pandemic to bring new talent to the team and expand operations, and the team has expanded rapidly since it split from Activision. In regards to the health of Destiny, over at Forbes they say that the player count for Destiny has dropped and it's begun to kind of trail off, but when those expansions come out and when there is new content, there are players that come back, and it is still a very, very healthy game. For some reason, one reason or another, I became invested in the Destiny community. I've barely played Destiny 2, I've barely played much of Destiny 1 outside of the core content, but I've watched a lot of it on Twitch. It's very good background noise for me while I'm working on something at work or while I'm editing footage here in my little studio at home. And so I keep touch with the community. I listen to what they have to say. And it seems like, as it stands right now, the latest season that's come out for Destiny 2 is being received very, very well. And I think that goes to show that Bungie is trying to move in the right direction. There's a lot of passion around Destiny. And I'm excited to see what the future of this game looks like. Because Destiny 2 support is continuing. It's not going away anytime soon, even though if the game had been continuing under Activision, we would probably be on Destiny 4 by this fall. But I digress. I'm excited to see what Bungie comes up with in the future because they have shaped the gaming industry into what it is today. They have had a hand in that. Between the origins of Halo and now you have Destiny shaping what is to come, and now you have even new ideas that are being incubated and iterated on behind the scenes that we can only dream of seeing in the next couple of years. So we'll see what they come up with, but it's good to see they are getting the funding and they are getting the expanded headquarters that they deserve to make something great. But to round out today's show, GDC is going digital in 2021. They're going digital with not one single event to replace the series, but events running throughout the year. You have the GDC Masterclass running March 4th through the 5th, the GDC Showcase running March 15th through the 19th, GDC 2021 proper running July 19th through the 23rd, and the Independent Games Festival and Game Developers Choice Awards running July 21st. Quote, the new constraints around in-person gatherings and travel have also brought creativity, and we have been able to develop new formats and new ways to offer content and community support throughout the year, GDC General Manager Katie Stern said. So as Game Developers Conference celebrates its 35th edition this year, rather than pack everything into 1 week, we are hosting a family of GDC events that will deliver high-quality, curated content in more flexible and accessible ways online, as well as designing events that play to the strengths of virtual conferences, including more fluid networking and matchmaking opportunities. Fantastic job. GDC is very, very important for game developers, especially those that are trying to break into the industry, find opportunities. It is a foundational part of that side of the gaming space. And so to see it pivot in such a big way is very, very important because number one, keeps people safe. Number two, it sounds like they're taking specific opportunities and specific initiatives to ensure that matchmaking and networking are still at the core of what this event is. Because while GDC is exciting for us, the players, to see what's happening with the technology behind the scenes, which is what that event is going to be in July, you also have a very specific portion of it that is meant to connect employers with developers and to share information to developers about how to build something greater and how to shape the future of the industry. So I'm excited to see what this event looks like. And again, everything kicks off in March and runs sporadically through July. But I would say that's probably how the majority of events are going to go this year. whether it's one big slew of events or whether it's one small condensed event, whatever it is, at least people are staying safe, and that these in-person events, while they will return eventually, are being held off until everything calms down a bit with all this COVID nonsense, because we need to get this under control. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what stories caught your eye, but specifically, what do you think about Silent Hill? Do you think Bloober Team is working on it? And who do you think that Japanese developer is? Would love to hear what you have to say. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.